Roster cuts have come and gone. What were the biggest players released? What lessons can we learn? And who gets claimed? We're going to break it all down for you today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now.
Joe, Micah Parsons' watch continues. Don't know what resolutions we may or may not get there, but everybody's all abuzz this morning about Micah and the trade rumors. And we are not going to take the low-hanging fruit today. We're going to be working through the wire and looking at cuts across the league. Tough day yesterday for a lot of guys, right? Whereas a lot of guys who had what they call it, the Turk. You got the Turk got them up to the coach's office and let them know that they're being released. A lot of these guys will get a chance to get back on practice squads. Some guys will get claimed. We're going to explore that. Lots of lessons for player evals. Lots to get into here today on the show.
We start with what? The biggest cuts?
The biggest cuts, yes. Or releases. Wave, release,
I know,
designation, 6 in one hand, half dozen the other for this piece of our conversation.
I think the one cut that came through yesterday that made me go, really? Was the Chargers with Tony Jefferson. Like, after luring him out of retirement and him having a role on that defense, I know that they have Elijah Molden and Alohi Gilman and Derwin James, but it felt like that was such a positive thing that happened for them that I didn't see that one coming. I think that was the one. There's others, but that was the one that made me go, really? Yeah. And what's next for him? Obviously, I'm curious.
Yeah, there was a couple big ones for me. A couple of former first-round offensive linemen, Cole Strange and Kenyon Green.
Yeah.
I mean, Kenyon Green was a part of that swap with Houston that sent Chauncey to Houston. And Kenyon Green, you get back and everybody says, hey, it's Kenyon Green got a first-class ticket to Stoutland U. Watch them turn him around. And nope, didn't happen. Didn't make the team. Philly jumbled a bunch of guys. They brought in Kendall Lamb. They bring in Kenyon Green. And they're like, no, you know what? Why don't you just trade us back Fred Johnson and we'll call it a day. It's like, no, we're good. We'll stay with our comfort blanket and our binky that we know really well with our depth offensive line. Cole Strange, obviously the Mike Vrabel impression on New England, and we touched on that a little bit yesterday. Cole Strange was a polarizing draft pick when he was made in the first round of the 2022 NFL draft, but you get those guys with that kind of pedigree that shake loose, and I know Cole Strange had some injury stuff as well that kind of complicated his tenure. Those stand out to me in a big way.
No doubt about it, man. It's whenever you get some turnover with regimes, man, you never know who's going to stick around. And, the Patriots also released Layden Robinson. It was a 4th-round pick from last year. So that, team that you kind of thought had some young answers in the pipeline doesn't prove to be the case. How about 2 veterans here that I look specifically at the teams that released them, and I think that's kind of a position where they needed help. And one of them is the Falcons with Morgan Fox. Like, I think they needed probably that skill set up front. And the other would be the Dolphins with Mike Hilton. I know that he was a late arrival.
Yeah.
And I know there's some young player that they're thinking about in that nickel spot. But I think people are generally curious about how the secondary is going to come together for Miami. Like, those are 2 veterans that I thought were in spots where they could help a team. And here they are on cutdown day, not part of the mix anymore.
Yeah, and it didn't take Mike Hilton long. He's reportedly visiting and working out with the Colts today.
Hilton and Kenny Moore on the same team?
Hilton and Kenny Moore on the same team.
Jeez.
That's and Colts, of course, Dolphins week 1 opponent.
Oh,
so there's a whole bunch of layers there. But I would say for Mike, the Kader Kohu injury that facilitated Mike Hilton's signing was one that Kohu could play inside and outside. And Jason Marshall, the 5th-round rookie who's going to step into the nickel role, was an outside corner at Florida. Never played nickel before, but he's a big, big physical corner, and they moved him inside. And I just think that lack of alignment variety for Mike Hilton kind of hurt him with what the Dolphins want to do with their interior core, with their safeties and that nickel defender. That I felt like that was a pretty big blockade for if you had to invert and they do exotic coverage rotations and you're walked up over too strong, but then they're going to have you flip and run and run the pole in Tampa 2 or be a deep half player. That's not really that. Like, Mike's really good in run support as a nickel, playing intermediate zones in the overhang area of the field. And I think it was just a little bit of a conflict there for what they wanted to do for a full menu versus where Mike, I think, is best served to play.
Also, there's a lot of things that Mickey Loomis needs to figure out with his life. One of them is drafting defensive ends. Kyle, let's go on a journey. Haloi Kikaha, 44th pick in the draft in 2015.
Okay.
We go Marcus Davenport, 14th pick in the draft. We give up 2 first-round picks. 2
first-round picks to go get him.
Yep. I think we're done. Peyton Turner, first-round pick in 2021. And then the latest being Isaiah Foskey, a second-round pick, number 40 overall in 2023 that has now been released. Mickey, you're not allowed to draft defensive ends anymore. And the one guy that he drafted that worked was Trey Hendrickson. And he blew up his last season, and that's the one player they didn't retain. Come on,
and I wish I remember who it was, but somebody yesterday said they had somebody tell them a story where Loomis came in over the top and picked Foskey over Brian Branch.
Oh no!
That was their original plan with that pick, and they were like, no, Isaiah Foskey.
Well, that's Loomis. Lean into the trenches, which not a bad idea, but you got to get the right players.
Right.
That's gross, dude. That's a gross resume.
Some big name wide receivers, big name considering for roster cuts, right? Like you have Mecole Hardman, Deontay Johnson, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Robert Woods in Pittsburgh. That team needs wide receiver help, and we didn't make the team. That's a bit of a flag.
Right.
Hunter Renfrow in Carolina.
Wilson. Yeah, Hunter Renfrow. I guess they're not going to trade Thielen then, right?
If the offer's right? If the price is right, I think you could maybe still justify it.
I think it's exactly the type of player that Carolina should be willing to trade. But
I think so too. And I know Thielen was an important piece for Bryce figuring some stuff out last year, so I'm sympathetic to that. But you're playing a long game and a short game here at the same time, and your long game is getting Liggett and Coker and McMillan, getting those guys really vibing with Bryce Young. I would want them to have the time on task.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm excited for our next segment because what Kyle and I are going to do is focus in on some of the players that were released and discuss lessons that can be learned through the scouting process and some higher picks that got released and some cautionary tales. We'll break that down for you here next, folks. Be sure to stick with us. This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. The NFL season is right around the corner, and you can feel the buzz. Fantasy football season is here. Everyone's researching, drafting, and building their championship squads. If you haven't joined a league yet, now's the time, and it's all happening on Yahoo Fantasy. This year I'm playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether it's your first ever league or a veteran creating your millionth league. With season kickoff on September 4th, now is the time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football, which offers so many fun ways to compete. If you're looking for more ways to play, try the brand new Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine League mode, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated weekly until there's one team left standing. You want to play instantly with friends? Well, try the new Draft with Friends mode. You prefer the classics? Get your crew together and go head-to-head in a private league. No crew, no problem. Join a public league, which is the easiest way to play. The NFL season kicks off on September 4th, so don't wait. Start your league now. Draft now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Folks, we have an important request for you. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will enter for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. If you're on YouTube, there's a QR code on the screen, and also there's a link in today's show notes. So thank you. We appreciate you helping us out.
Joe, you know who didn't get cut yesterday?
53 players on every team, except for the Lions. They cut more than that.
Any of the New England Patriots wide receivers.
Keeping 8, right? So are the Chiefs. So are the Chiefs. 8 receivers, man.
So I guess, what are we just waiting for the dust to settle here, and then we'll shuffle some more guys around? Or I saw the graphic that they put out, and I'm just counting, and I'm like, they just kept going. I'm like, they didn't get rid of any of them. It's impressive. So no chance for Javon Baker to be a part of the evaluations lessons we learned.
Not yet.
Conversation.
Not yet.
Not yet. Who you got?
I want to start with Kyle Trask. Where else can we possibly start? A guy that had really goofy hype. I mean, he had a good season. There's no question about it, right? But you're talking about translating this guy to being an NFL starter. There was mock drafts all over the place to put this guy in the first round. Yeah. So much so that it inspired me to write an article, Kyle Crabbs, for our previous mutual employer. No, it's time, brother. It's time. Yeah. It's time. I wrote an article specifically saying Kyle Trask is not a first-round caliber quarterback prospect, and I nailed the article. Unfortunately, our previous employer can't get their finances right, so there's no website to go back and reference that because it was taken down. But I wish I could share the article. But point being, there was things about Kyle Trask that just there were limiting factors, right? You got to have some physical upside if you're going to be the type of quarterback that's going to come into the league and be a guy. And I do wonder if the Bucs ownership, which I feel like influenced that move, if they didn't kind of say, hey, we want Kyle Trask, kind of a local product, all that type of stuff, like where does he ultimately go in the draft? But point being, some people thought that he was drafted to be Tom Brady's successor. And here he is. He got beat out by Teddy Bridgewater, who got signed to the team last week. So you got to have some physical upside or some level of a superpower to warrant a high pick as a quarterback. And Kyle Trask wasn't that. And I know he took a lot of exception with what I wrote, but here we are.
And it was what he lost. Was it three QB2 battles in Tampa during his time with the team?
Right.
So I think it's a great call out for kind of the profile of the player and the traits element of it, whether it's intangible, whether it's tangible, whether it's physical. It's kind of felt like he felt like a very obvious kind of early day 3 type quarterback that maybe you would draft with the expectation he's going to go on to be a career backup type of player, right? You want to keep it in the SEC with quarterbacks and talk about Hendon Hooker and this damn Tennessee offense? You're going to start to have a serious conversation about every evaluation opportunity for the passing game players that come out of here between that and Jalen Hyatt. Didn't know how to run routes, right? Like it's an impossible system to have any level of confidence in. And Hendon Hooker, I'm going to talk about Teddy Bridgewater, right? Teddy was in Detroit.
Yeah.
He is waived after being a third-round draft choice, and he had physical tools where there was some athleticism there. There was the big-time arm that exists there.
Smooth mechanics.
But everything is deep, single read, option choice routes with supreme spacing that you're just not going to replicate from a timing perspective in the NFL.
All right. So, I mean, I don't love where Jalen Wright's headed. I'm concerned about Dylan Sampson. That was their back this year.
Yep.
We have receivers. We'll see what happens with Deontay Thornton. I mean, Jalen Hyatt doesn't look like that's working out. Let me ask you this. Like, what is fundamentally different about that Tennessee offense compared to the Ole Miss offense with Lane Kiffin, where we see some players come in? I mean, we don't know that much about Jackson Dart, but he's looked more competent than Hendon Hooker has. Like, how do we distinguish which one of these spread offenses are too watered down for us to get translatability and set guys up for success?
I think the extremes with Tennessee come in the splits and the spacing, right? They got guys lined up on the sideline with their back to the sideline to squeeze every centimeter out of lining up on the boundary. And then they got two more guys outside the numbers.
Yeah, it's insane
at times. So I think that level of extreme removes your ability as a quarterback to kind of process spacing and coverage leverage, because it's like, oh, I got all this room. He's going to make his break, and that's when I'll throw the ball.
We got to talk about Malachi Corley, right?
The Yak King.
How many times are people going to get honeypotted by this style of receiver? Their average depth of target is 1. They catch a bunch of passes. They average 8 yards after the catch. All right, come on, man. It can't be too much more than that. And the Jets were falling all over themselves to get this guy. We saw the YouTube video. They're trying to trade up for Malachi Corley.
Joe Douglas spent the entire second round trying to trade up for Malachi Corley and then picked him at 65.
And they wanted you to know that. They put it on the YouTube, man.
I don't want to derail us too much here, but I did a look at Joe Douglas in the midst of Corley getting released yesterday. Obviously, Joe Douglas is no longer here. But I did a look at his day 2, his mid-round rounds 2, 3, and 4 resume as the general manager of the Jets. I think we've talked about it, but are you familiar with just how bad it is?
I'm thinking about Denzel Mims and players like that, and I'm not feeling like this is going to tell a good story. 16
draft choices across 5 drafts in rounds 2, 3, and 4. And here are the picks that Joe Douglas made in each round. Denzel Mims, Elijah Moore, Breece Hall, and Joe Tippmann in the second round.
Joe Tippmann, let's go.
Joe Tippmann, and that was what I said. Tippmann can serve as an offensive line cornerstone. Looks like he's the best pick of the bunch. In the third round, Ashton Davis and Jabari Zuniga in 2020. None in 2021. Jeremy Ruckert in 2022. None in 2023. And Malachi Corley in 2024.
That's bad.
You got nothing.
Nothing.
Fourth round draft choices. 2020, LaMichael Pirine, James Morgan, and offensive tackle Cameron Clark.
Yeah, that's sad.
2021 fourth round, another running back, Michael Carter. 2022 draft, offensive tackle Max Mitchell, and every Jets fan's favorite player, Michael Clemens, who might be like the second or third most like contributing player to this entire list.
He's a good depth defensive end, yeah.
Oh, they can't wait to get rid of him.
Really? Okay.
He's the bonehead, like...
Yeah, he's always doing goofy stuff. Yeah.
Goofy stuff, yeah. 2023 draft, Carter Warren was just cut.
35-inch arms on it.
And 2024 draft, Braylon Allen, who might be the third best overall player on this list. That's Joe Douglas's 5-year resume in rounds 2, 3, and 4 of the NFL draft.
I think those will be the only draft picks he ever makes again in that range. Yeah, that's rough. All right. I had a real quick on Zach Pickens. He's a pretty high pick by the Bears.
Third round draft choice.
Yeah, I think the cautionary tale is there. You got to be able to anchor a little bit, you know? I even look at a guy like Zach Carter, who then he was on the Bengals and we went to Denver or some other team. It's like you gotta have some power to your game on the interior. Juju Brents, what happened there? Colts.
Injuries.
Yeah.
There was a couple, Jelani Woods and Juju Brents.
Yeah.
Neither one of those guys could stay healthy. So I don't know that I'd write Brents off altogether yet. I don't think you could have foreseen like the extent of injuries that rolled up there on him for a couple of years. I would be remiss to not mention Channing Tindall. It's the passing down pressure weapon off ball linebacker. You want to talk I know we got a long exercise for segment 3, but you want to get into that one a little bit after the break because I think there's some really good stuff there as far as like the schemed touch college spread wide receiver who's a run after catch guy that we fall for every year in some way, shape, or form. Right.
We'll do that. Oh, by the way, Adam Thielen, a Minnesota Viking. Wee woo.
Oh, wee woo. Let's go.
Be sure to stick with us.
He is getting traded.
The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Check this out right now. New customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. There's so many fun things, starting with the profit boosts. I love to check every morning to see what's available. Usually it's a 20%, 30% bump on a same-game parlay. That makes things fun. There's a lot of variety with different ways that you can bet, whether it's the spreads, there's over-unders, there's player props, you can build parlays, there's live betting, and ultimately it just adds so much more excitement to watching sports. And I love watching sports. They're even better when I am getting in on the action over at FanDuel. So are you ready to play? If so, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com, or you can download the app from your app store or visit FanDuel.com, to get started. That's FanDuel.com. You can place that first $5 bet. If it wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets. So check it out.
Carolina got a pretty nice little haul here.
I know.
So this ends up being Carolina gets a 5 this year and a 4 in 2027. For late stage career Adam Thielen, a 2027 5 and a conditional 2026 7th round draft choice.
That's a great return.
That's an outstanding return. So bravo to Carolina.
Dan Morgan, baby.
And again, you're playing a long and a short game. You've got a bunch of young receivers to try to click with Bryce Young, and you get that kind of return. Yeah, you did very well for yourself if you're Carolina. The pressure linebacker role with Channing Tindall. I think the hard thing about this evaluation, right, is it's what are you asked to do versus what are you capable of doing? But I go back to, do you remember, I forget who, I think they were playing Alabama. They were in the red zone, and Channing completely drops coverage, and Nakobe Dean just chewed his ass out. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yes.
And then like the next play, they blitzed Channing and he made a sack on Bryce Young, and it was like the big rebound from this big mistake. But like that's always kind of been the thing with Channing, and out of his control, but 3 different schemes his first 3 years in the league. So you draft a developmental type player, kind of like Malachi Corley, right? Like Malachi Corley needed some stability and a coaching staff that was going to invest in really developing his route running acumen for him to become a better player. And there was no stability. There was a scheme change, a regime change, and they came in and said, well, you're not nowhere ready to play, and we didn't pick you, so you're out of here. Channing at least got 3 years, but the scheme changed every single year. The keys change. The points of emphasis change. The coaching points change. So there's, I think, a player eval for that profile of player. And then there's also that kind of cautionary reminder of if you're drafting projects or you're drafting developmental talent, like you have to be a team that's in position to give them what they need.
Future Minnesota Viking Channing Tindall?
I'd be surprised.
Oh, all right. Well, that's unfortunate because I'm not sure where else he could go. Or what's going on? Patrick Graham. He might like him over there with the Raiders, whatever the heck
I
they
think
have.
the Raiders would be a great team to take a swing on
Yeah.
On Channing Tindall. So our last exercise here.
God help us.
Ben Solak, former coworker, former colleague, good friend. Every year he does a list for the NFL draft of how long of a list can I create where I know with absolute certainty that every name on this list is going to get drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. We're going to try to do it with claims for waiver claims. And there's not like, it's like 2.5% of players who get.
Yeah. I was sitting there holding that number in my mind. I was like, you realize that only 2.5% get claimed.
Right. So it's like 25. If it's 1,000 players that get cut, we'll just do the quick math. It's like 25 names.
I'm going to assume that you're correct about that number.
Yeah.
Kyle's getting his app. What is that thing
now
called?
You got
an abacus. You seen one of these? You know how to use
so
that?
It's 1,000. Yes, it's 25 names. Right. So there's like 25, potentially 25 claimed names off this list, 25 to 30. Our job is how long of a list can we create without having any missed names on the list? And we have like 8 minutes to do it.
I hope we can get to 5. I hope we can get 5 names. You got anyone you want to throw that you really like? I mean, these guys got to get signed to an active roster.
Yeah, they got to get claimed today. I would like to think
Jalen Armour Davis?
Jamin Armour Davis, I think, has a very good probability of getting claimed. And he has 3 years of tenure. This is his 4th year. He was a hard cut for Baltimore, but they had 2 UDFA DBs who really splashed. I think Jamin Armour Davis is a great first name to invoke because of the background of the position. There's a couple of teams between Miami and Seattle that have connections to Baltimore that could maybe have some attraction to him and have some kind of question with the depth of their cornerback rooms. I think that's a great name to invoke.
Okay.
Do you have any other rookies? I know we have Damian Martinez was released as a 7th round running back, who I think has a reasonable chance to get claimed.
I get nervous about these running backs, man.
That's what scares me, is the positional element of it.
What about Cordell Volson?
Volson was waived.
Yeah.
I'm confirming it's a 3-year, kind of like a 3-year starter, right?
I mean, I think, offensive line feels like the type of position groups that we should be thinking about.
Well, and then you had Garrett Dellinger from LSU, who was a draft pick this year by Baltimore, who was released.
It's a good call.
Cordell Volson is another good call. There's a couple of others from deep offensive. Seattle waived Laumea too.
Yeah.
So he was the one who beat out Christian Haynes last year.
Could be one to put down, man. I think teams are looking for O-line depth. This is where you're probably willing to find a spot.
2 other names that I would include here would be Brant Banks, offensive lineman with Green Bay. I mean, they're a team that's doing it right as far as offensive line depth. And Brant Banks was one of the better graded offensive linemen in the preseason. And then also Kansas City had an offensive tackle, Asa Pohl, who was released as well, who had a very strong showing in the preseason. So those names jump out to me as candidates.
Mike Edwards with the Bills.
That was kind of a surprising cut, wasn't it?
Offensive lineman, Mike Edwards, not the safety.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this guy's like 6'5", 350. He can move.
Didn't Mike Edwards, the safety, get released?
Yes, he did, by Kansas City. So he's been trying. I could tell you some things about Mike Edwards, but I don't think he's got that dog in him anymore.
Juju Brents is a third or 4th year, 2nd round pick. Corner.
Yeah, feels good. How about the Marvin Leal with Pittsburgh?
Okay. I don't hate it.
You're not super in, though. I can tell you're not super in.
Damari Mathis?
He stinks so bad.
How about Darian Kendrick?
It's possible. Yeah, he's played minutes, right?
Eli Ricks?
Brennan Jackson?
Brennan Jackson's a good call. That was a 5th-round draft choice, and he had a very productive preseason.
You could see it.
Mohamed Kamara?
I mean, I'm a big fan. So
from a year ago,
did Judon stiff arm him? Probably, right?
Yeah, Judon and Kamara had a concussion. He was in concussion protocol. Miami spent 2 weeks on the road in Chicago and Detroit. He missed the entire trip. So he was like not with the team for 2 weeks in training camp.
How about Tyler Scott or Trey Palmer?
Trey Palmer's a good call. I think he's got. I mean that was just a numbers game with that wide receiver room, right? I mean Tampa's got the best wide receiver room from top to bottom. The 1 through 4 there is crazy.
Yeah, Trey Palmer feels like a good choice.
Do you think Foskey gets claimed?
I mean,
for some of these, you got to lean into the draft profile a little bit. Say, man, it was not that long ago. This guy was a top 64 draft choice for both Juju Brents and Isaiah Foskey.
Yeah, I would think, but I also look at the situation that he was in and certainly feel like they could use him. I think he's not very good, unfortunately.
Let me just check the running backs as well. We mentioned Damian Martinez.
Audrey Estemi.
I kind of feel about him how you feel about Damari Mathis.
He's kind of stinks.
I didn't see it with him at all coming out of Notre Dame. Pierre Strong.
Man, Kamani Vidal got cut, huh?
Yeah. Carson Steele with Kansas City. All right. So now we have to create the list. Let's get 5. Aspire for 5.
Brents.
Juju Brents.
Jalen Armour
Davis. Let's go Trey Palmer.
Yeah.
Do you think Greg Dulcich gets claimed?
No.
He had a great preseason.
I know.
Let's go Cordell Volson.
Yeah.
You want to go with...
I think another offensive lineman.
Somebody with some pedigree?
Or upside, right?
Asa Pohl, the Chiefs tackle. The guy, Charles Goldman from A to Z, he's the Chiefs guy. He told me he was their 54th player.
All right, let's go him. Let's see if we can get 5.
Okay, and that's our 5.
All right.
We'll see what happens. Kyle Crabbs, Joe Marino, locked on NFL Scouting. We are in the books. We appreciate you guys as always for checking out the show. Make it a great rest of your day. We are out of here.